Hello and welcome to another Mr. Smith History. Today we're going to be looking at law enforcement in modern Britain. So we'll be looking at how there is continuity in the terms of there's community-based and authority-based schemes, but we'll be looking also at some of the changes and the new methods that are brought into modern-day policing. So much of modern-day policing is about the prevention of crime as well as catching of criminals, and there are a plethora, there are lots of different forces and agencies working together across the UK and across the world. So the car that came screeching in there, demonstrates the development in the use of transport. This means obviously that police can get to the scenes of crimes faster. But it also means there are less police on the street, which is controversial and some people are against. So he's gone there, probably gone to catch some criminals or something. So that was a gun there. So we've got armed police now as well. Not all, but some are now armed, and certainly with what's happened in recent years in terms of the increase in heightened awareness of terrorism, that type of thing, it's not unusual to see armed police on the street, and some of them and some of the weapons they use, they resemble more like soldiers than they do police officer. And thankfully we live in a more diverse society, and this has spread to the police force. Gone are the problems that would attach themselves to the police force in terms of the issues that they might have in recruiting certain groups of people. They are now very inclusive, and they include women and people of any ethnic groups. But as I alluded to at the start of the presentation, not everything has changed. Certainly the community is still involved. Formed in 1982, we got the Neighbourhood Watch. Neighbourhood Watch were groups of normal civilians who were volunteers, and they help to prevent crime in their neighbourhood. So the idea is that the Neighbourhood Watch increases vigilance, people keep an eye on themselves and their neighbours, and the idea behind it is to help reduce the fear of crime. In 2002 then, we've got the introduction as well of the PCSOs, who are the Police Community Support Officers, and they work closely with the communities, and again the idea behind this is to work as a preventative measure. So they work closely with schools and community groups. They obviously work with the Neighbourhood Watch, who I mentioned earlier, and their aim is to educate people and to help protect themselves and their property. They also play a huge role in the government's Prevent programme, which, again, as was mentioned earlier, challenges extremism and radicalisation, so terrorism and that type of thing. And obviously as well, there has been a huge increase in the use of technology. Developments in the 20th century have meant that the police force has been able to change rapidly, and it's been able to take on board new technology. So, for example, the use of radios for communication, DNA in investigations, CCTV to monitor people, the use of computers so that the database can be shared widely across different police forces, cars and motorbikes, as we saw earlier, and of course fingerprinting are all technology that has been brought in, which meant that the police has been able to adapt and get better at detecting. So that brings us to the end of the presentation on the modern Britain police force. It's flown by, hasn't it? Very quickly indeed. There's going to be another there's going to be another video on the Metropolitan Police coming up, linked in with law enforcement. So please do check that out. Thank you.